All right, hello, and thank you for watching Tzion Talks here on YouTube. I am your host, Brian McComas. I want to talk about something that I have a ton of experience in, and that is dealing with people on Facebook who have absolutely no business talking about the Torah, talking about Judaism, and primarily the group of people that like to say that they're Jewish when they're not. The group of people that they may be secular. They may be a secular Jew, and then they lie and say they're Orthodox. This is a virus on social media. It has taken over almost everything. There are apps for Orthodox Jews to use in order to find a safe place with a religious Jewish family to spend Shabbat when they're out and about, whether it's they were traveling or I don't know, a vacation or a business thing, and their flight was overlaid and they're stuck, and now they got to spend Shabbat in an area. They get on these apps, and these apps are ridden like lice on a wild dog. Okay, there are people on there that will put out videos. They've got websites. They get on the apps and they claim, oh, come to our community. It's Orthodox. We are a religious community. And then when you get there, all of the women are pretty much, they forgot to get dressed in the morning. I went to one in particular that I was horrified. It was in Florida. One of my last rabbis, not my current rabbi, not the rabbi that I'm following now, but one of my last rabbis. I'll say his name because this is not embarrassing to him. It's Rabbi Zalman Wise. He lives in Israel. Years ago, I followed him. I took classes with him. He taught mostly Ashkenazic minhag and halakha and conversion classes and some other things. I took about 4 years with him, and I told him I'm going to go to Florida, and he once gave me the number of one of his past students, and he said, hey, they converted, they're in that area. But he didn't know anything about them, so this is not his fault. He hadn't had an update on this student. The problem was the student was a woman, so I had to be very careful. I found out she was married, so I started speaking to her husband primarily. And now, every now and then, she did text me. She did not seem to care about Shomer Nagal rules. It was very strange. I asked her several times about the community that she's living in. I thought it would be nice to go to this particular community in Florida and at least know another student of my current rabbi at the time. And everything was working out. I got there and it was a disaster. First of all, I talked to the local rabbi before I even went there. He told me it was a religious Jewish community, and he told me they are Orthodox. He then sent me to a website that was all about the community, and there were some funny things on the website. There were some pictures of some people that weren't, you could tell they weren't religious Jews. Okay, I don't know if they were Noahides. I don't know if they were secular Jews coming in. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you have these pictures on there? And he said, well, our community is welcoming to anybody. We lift people up. So I'm like, hey, okay. I get there and I'm supposed to spend at least Shabbat night with the husband and the wife and who was a student of my rabbi. And it was one thing after another. I was meeting people in the community when I got there. I had met the husband briefly, but the wife was the one giving me a public tour in the streets. Because it was in the public and because it was in the streets and we were walking together, I told her I didn't mind. I was like, listen, I'm trying to convert. I'm not a Jew yet, but we'll walk as long as we're in public, whatever. Okay. So she walked from house to house to house, and I met all kinds of people. Now, they were friendly, but none of these people who she was saying these are the Jews in this area, none of them in even the most basic manners. Dressed like a Jew, acted like a Jew, other than they were friendly. Some of these houses did not have mezuzah on it, which I was blown away because you see mezuzahs even in Reform communities. Um, there were so many problems. There were men that I had seen that were meeting me and they would shake my hand and everything. And several women tried to shake my hand, and I was like, oh, I don't shake hands of the opposite gender. Um, and it's like they were taken back. So I kept asking the lady that I was walking with, what's going on here? I'm looking for an Orthodox community. Is this an Orthodox community? She had already told me yes. Her rabbi had already told me yes. They on the website, it doesn't say that whether they're conservative, reform, Orthodox, but it does push on the website that the rabbi sent me. This was the rabbi that sent this to me, that it was a religious community. Um, there's so many horror stories about this one community. So I'm going to tell you the worst situation. Later that later that day, it wasn't sunset yet. We were, everybody's preparing for Shabbat, and the lady said she had to go back home. She wanted to, make an extra amount of food, and I was like, okay, great. I'm on my cell phone, still walking around the community. I'm taking pictures of stuff. I took a couple of videos. I posted them up on my Facebook ages ago. I'm not going to name the community right now because it does no good. It does no good to shame the community. They know what they did. They don't care. So this is a cautionary tale. So I go back and I tell the lady, hey, I'm coming back. Is your husband there? And she says, yeah, but he's packing. And she doesn't reply to me when I ask her, what are you talking about? He's packing. She doesn't reply to me. I go, and this is all in walking distance. I walk a couple of blocks to her house, knock on the door. I'm standing outside, and her husband opens the door. I've already met him. And while he's talking to me, he's saying, oh, hey, how you doing? He is moving bags and he had some coats and jackets. I don't know why, but he's moving them to his truck. He had a truck outside, and then there was a car there too. I assume it was for his wife. He's moving all the stuff to his truck, and he was the most properly dressed Jew there. Let me point that out. He was better dressed than the rabbi, believe it or not. So this guy is moving stuff to his truck, and I'm like, hey, you need any help with that? What's going on? Your wife said you were packing. He then tells me he's packing all of his stuff. I kid you not. He then tells me that he is leaving her. He's separating from her. He hasn't given her the get. And he looks me square in the face and he says, hey, you want her, you can have her. I was so shocked I could have turned white. I'm like, what? I don't want her. What are you talking about? I then find out that they had been fighting for a while. They weren't getting along. They decided to get a divorce. They knew this ages before inviting me down. And the husband had said he's going to leave early and he's going to drive during Shabbat. So I'm like, well, where does that leave me? Where am I going to stay? And he said, oh, you can stay in the house. I don't care. Well, I can't because of Shomer Nagah. She's the only woman there. I was like, well, is she going to invite other people over? Maybe she can invite a whole bunch of other couples to stay the night. I mean, they did have a guest room, and they had a couch and some other things because I'd been in their house. That didn't happen. I then was like, listen, I didn't want to drive tonight. I'm not a Jew yet, but I didn't want to drive tonight. But now you're forcing me to go find a hotel or something. And the guy didn't want to talk anymore. He wasn't mad at me, but you could tell he's agitated and he wanted to get out of the area. They had been fighting. I don't know what it was over. But he literally looked me square in the face and he said, you can have her. She messages me later and asks if I'm going to come eat dinner. And I was like, no, I can't come into your house and eat dinner unless you leave your front door wide open. I definitely can't stay in the house. I was like, you told me this was an Orthodox community, and all I'm seeing is problems. And I'm doing this via text. It's not over a phone call. Okay. She then texts me, "You can stay here tonight and you can sleep next to me." When I tell you that I got the hell out of there, I'm not even exaggerating. I didn't even book a motel. I just got in my car and I drove to some family that lives in Kissimmee, Florida, a couple hours away. I literally drove there and I was beyond aggravated. This woman was a trap. This whole community was a trap. And this is what happens. Now, for everybody listening, this isn't even the worst story that I have of a non religious Jew claiming to be a religious Jew and doing something stupid. They're all over Facebook. They're all over social media. They're on these apps. They're on the Orthodox Jewish dating sites, if there was ever such a thing. Don't ever use those. Don't ever use them. You could end up with a Muslim for all you know. There are people that get on those dating sites and they lie all the time. Okay? That's not how you go about finding your spouse. Don't do it. These people are also all over every app that has to do with a Jew who is looking for either a minyan or somewhere to spend Seder, or they're stuck somewhere in some state and they need a place for Shabbat or any other holy day. These Jews are everywhere. Um, and these people are, there's no other way to say it. They're like lice. They serve no purpose. They do not do Tikkun Olam. And I understand, listen, I understand if you're watching this video and you're thinking, Brian, you can't say that. You got to lift people up. There are some people that you cannot lift up. There are some people that if you got 5 different men and a crane, you won't lift them up because they are so rooted in evil and the nations. So that's what this video is about. So I got out of that Florida area. I immediately contacted Rabbi Zalman Wise. I gave him the bad news. I even sent him the screenshots. He was very upset. And I told him, I said, listen, it wasn't even her. It was several other people there. And the rabbi there claimed this was an Orthodox community. But they're driving on Shabbat. They're doing all kinds of stupid stuff. Half of the women that I seen were in shorts or jeans. Half of them, easily. So I'm like, what's going on? So this is what leads down a slippery slope. I am a trusting person. I'm an open book. I don't care what you think about me. Everything is open. My Facebook is open. The majority of all my photos and my videos are open to the public. There's nothing hidden, okay? Transparency is a kind of a great way to show that somebody's not a narcissist, to show that somebody's not hiding something. I tell people all the time, if you see something I'm doing wrong, rebuke me. Now, I have people that try to rebuke me all the time, and they make up stuff. I had a guy the other day that was trying to rebuke me who was another secular Jew. He was trying to say that because I am not excommunicated at my ex-church from 20 some years, well, it was more than that. I hadn't been a Christian probably in 27 years because I ran around and did some other things in other religions before I got Torah observant. So it's probably been about 26, 27 years before I was what I would consider a Christian. This guy tried to tell me that if you're not excommunicated, you're still a Christian no matter what. This is the most brain dead, room temperature IQ thing that anybody could say. I have been involved with and friends with probably around 300 different people who fully converted. Some of them were in Mexico and they spoke heavy Spanish, little English. I got to know them. I was in conversion classes. I never once heard any Bet Din, and there was about 7 different Bet Din that were working with Rabbi Zalman Wise. They were English Bet Din. There was a Canadian Bet Din. There were 2 in the United States. There was one that I don't know if he was setting it up or what, but there was one that was forming in Mexico because something's going on with Mexico. And they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that wanted to be Noahides or they wanted to convert. It's been in the last 10 years. I don't know what's going on with Mexico, but people are walking right out of Christianity, and it's mostly a Catholicism, and they're wanting to come to Torah. So there was a Bet Din down there. I have never heard any Bet Din in my life or any rabbi say that when you leave the church, you have to show paperwork that you're excommunicated. This is insanity. This is the nonsense that the secular Jews do. And then when you ask this dude, where did you get your training? He lied. It said he was an Orthodox Jew. That's what they do. This entire video is about my experiences with the secular Russia out there that like to say that they're Orthodox Jews when they're not. And let me tell you, many of them, when you research them and you look in and you play detective and you're a bloodhound, you find out that they're not even Jewish, that they are Gentiles. I could name names right now of some pretty semi-famous people that are all over Facebook, that like to lie and say that they're Jewish, but it does no good. I have screenshots. I mean, I've got their mama and their grandmama's funeral where the whole family's together and they're eating shrimp. I got pictures of them as children and adults, opening Christmas gifts behind a Christmas tree because they're stupid enough to put it on Facebook. And I've got so many things of these people, and I take pictures because and I take screenshots and I keep them in files for years because these people always come out of the woodwork and they lie. They always want to be an informant. They want to be seen as a Torah observant Jew when they're not. And they always want to be seen as a Torah scholar when they're not. They're not. I don't care how you cut the cookie, and I don't care the education of somebody. I don't care if it's a conservative rabbi. They're not a Torah scholar by any measure. You cannot be a Torah scholar when you're not fully following Torah. And I know some really good conservative rabbis who are kind and nice, and I have recommended some of their books that I already knew were not full of their garbage. But this is a serious problem. You would think that if somebody is a conservative Jew, they would always tell you up front, and they don't. You would think that someone who is a secular Jew and they're proud of being secular, they tell you up front, and they don't. That's the kicker. All these people don't want to have a rabbi. They don't want to be in an Orthodox community. But on the other hand, they want to be seen as a religious Jew. It's crazy. It happens all the time on Facebook. I'm dealing with it right now. In 1 week, in any given week on social media, because I'm in about 12 Jewish or Noahide groups that are dealing with Torah, Judaism, Noahide. Only one of them, and that is the House of Torah, only one of them has admins and leaders in charge of the page that are Orthodox rabbis. The others don't even have Orthodox Jews as admins. I'm telling you, look it up. I argue with these people all the time because they come in and they mazel steal, and they put a blemish on everybody. They panic Noahides all the time because they come in and they claim that Noahides aren't real, or they push the anti-Noahide garbage. They mock people who follow the rabbis. That these people will literally demand to be seen as Torah scholars, and then in the next sentence they bash Rambam and they say, "I can't believe you even listen to what Rambam says." Listen, these people are everywhere, and this is just my video warning about them. I would be comfortable saying that 75% of the people that present on Facebook as being Orthodox Jews, I would say 75% are not. I'm talking about men that don't daven, that don't wear tzitzit, they never have their head covered, they're touching other women constantly. I'm not necessarily having relations with these women, but they're breaking Shomer Negal is what I mean. Like, I have seen so much of this garbage, and it pisses me off because I know a lot of Noahides, and I know many people who want to convert, and they have their heart in it. They would rather die than not convert. And then you get these idiots who happen to be Jewish, or they lie about being Jewish, and they get a following. It happens every time. Nothing will get you more followers on YouTube than being a fake Jew or a fake rabbi. I'm telling you, all of the Orthodox rabbis that I know that have a YouTube and they put out good content. They do not have the followers and the numbers, nowhere even close, as to what the cult members do. The people that are not Jewish, the people that wear the outfit as a costume, the people that mock the Torah, it's insanity. So if you are watching this video, okay, I'm telling you, you're going to get aggravated because you go in trusting these people and you find out they're not even religious Jews when they told you they were. It's going to happen. Probably 30 times a week, I deal with this. 30 times a week, I deal with someone who is claiming that they're a religious Jew or Orthodox Jew when they are not. And I also deal with many people who lie all the time. And I've got screenshots proving that they are Gentiles, and they lie all the time and they say they're Jews. As someone who is wanting to convert and give it and has sacrificed so much stuff that I don't even have a life now to convert, it is very upsetting. It's not jealousy. It's understanding what envy is and how evil envy is. These people are vile. They are Rasha. They cannot be lifted up. Once they go online and they have claimed an identity of being a religious Jew when they are not, they have to keep up with it. Otherwise, they have to apologize to people and say, hey, I was wrong. I said this. I lied. I wanted attention. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. These people don't even accept rebuke, let alone understand the laws of rebuke and how not accepting rebuke makes you evil. It makes you selfish. It makes you following your ego and your Mr. Yetzer. So I knew I was going to rant on this, but I want you to understand that if you're watching this video, these secular Jews are a problem. They are everywhere, and some of them are not even Jewish. They're not even Jewish. They are Gentiles. I have a library, and it's in my computer. It's under pictures, and it's a folder called Drama. I have had screenshots in there for years. Every time I get a new computer, I move stuff over. Why? Because these people are so vile that I have seen many of them admit later on in a big drama fest that they're not Jewish or they're not religious at all. And then years later, they lie again and say that they are religious. And when you ask them what changed, nothing changed. They didn't get a rabbi. They didn't get in a community. Nothing. So these people don't learn from their past mistakes. They get caught in a lie, they admit the lie, and then years later they're out doing it again. There's a particular guy that was very popular in many Jewish groups. He's a black guy. He's a veteran, and this guy was 1000% Gentile, had no Jewish on any side. He believed the Black Hebrew Israelites cult stuff, and the Black Hebrew Israelites teach that all of Israel, every tribe of Israel, is either Latino or black. That's what they teach, and they attack Ashkenazi more than Sephardi, but they will attack Sephardi, and they'll say you're not black, you don't look Latino, you're not a Jew. That's what they say, not my words. They're full of garbage. And this one particular guy who, he's black, he fell into that with his mom. I have screenshots of his mom posting the Black Hebrew Israelite garbage, posting about how Moshe was all black. We know Moshe wasn't black because of the issue of speaking against Moshe that Miriam did when Moshe married a Nigerian woman. We know that he wasn't black. Why do you need to add race to it like that? I mean, it's crazy. But this particular guy is in many of these groups, and I have caught him many times. I have pictures of his grandma, his great-grandma. I even have pictures of the great-grandmother's gravestone with New Testament verses all over and a cross. And this guy runs around saying he's a Jew. I have confirmation where we track back, and he doesn't have any Jewish ancestors anywhere. He thinks he's Jewish because he's black, and that's what you're dealing with. And most people who know him don't know this about him. They don't know that his mama is huge in the Black Hebrew Israelites. They don't know that he is supporting that. They only see him all the time saying he's Jewish. He tries to always come off as a know-it-all, as a Torah scholar, and this man doesn't know anything. And I got into it with him so bad that years ago, his ex-girlfriend got a hold of me and sent me proof and receipts of him at Burger King eating a Baconator and all this other stuff, him selling drugs, him being involved in all kinds of stuff that he shouldn't have been involved in. She had videos where she was confronting him, and I guess he thought it was for her personal use. This man didn't even care. She would call him out and say, "What do you got there?" And he was dealing with hard drugs. She had videos of him eating bacon and shrimp, and she posted it for the world to see, and it never caught on. It never caught on because people are stupid. People who were friends with this guy, his name was Aaron, by the way. People who were friends with Aaron believed Aaron over all the evidence, over all the screenshots. These people exist, and you need to understand it. There are references in Talmud that say that the secular Jew is a serious problem and an enemy of Israel. So, for all of the Noahides, if you have been belittled by a Jew, chances are it's one of these idiots. I have ran across so many Noahides and converts who gave up, and they almost were becoming anti-Semitic. They would say things like, the Jewish people are so disgusting, look how they treat me, and then they tell you these stories, and then when you hear who is talking to them, you're like, whoa, I know that person. That person is not a Jew. That person is not a Jew, or that person is a secular Jew and had no business talking to you that way. Every time, I kid you not. The converts today are in tremendous pain. They are not accepted. They want to be accepted. And we're not talking about pushing away someone 3 times. I am saying legitimate, not accepted. So they hear that someone's Jewish and they believe it on social media and they don't have any reason to doubt it. And then these people treat them like dog crap. I know an entire family of about 10. It was a husband and a wife. And they had about 9 kids, so maybe 11. I think they had 9 kids. They were all converting for years. They were working with Rabbi Tovia Singer and Rabbi Michael Skobek, and it's not nothing against these rabbis. These rabbis weren't at fault. These rabbis were sharing stuff with them. One of the young daughters was involved in a Torah group and constantly putting out Torah stuff. I was what you can call friends with her. And then one of the older daughters, the father of the daughter was trying to get her married and actually had me speaking to her. And I kind of courted that girl for a little while. Her name was Joanne. She was a wonderful girl, but she was so steeped in ideas that were against a lot of Jewish law that I realized I'd have my hands full. She was a pretty girl. She was... There was nothing wrong with her other than she thought that things were proper that are not proper. Let's just put it that way. And it was constant. It was constant. And I didn't want to cause problems with the family, so we backed out of the courting. I stayed friends with her. I stayed friends with the whole family. I literally watched that whole family. They were in Michigan. They got with an Orthodox rabbi up there, and they also got with a conservative rabbi. And I kept telling them, don't go to the conservatives, go to the Orthodox. Unfortunately, they didn't listen. They hung around the conservatives, and the conservative Jews up there had the moral structure of a botfly. There was something that went on in that family. I'm not going to talk about it in case you know what I'm talking about. There was something that went on between the husband and wife, and the conservative Jews down there took the man's side when they were all in the wrong, and the husband was in the wrong in this situation. And they shamed the family, and they did so much that this entire family said, to hell with the Jews, we're going back to Christianity. The mother and father divorced, and the whole family are in shatters. They're shattered, and they're dealing with so much drama and depression even years later. And it was all because of these conservative Jews who lied to them and said, hey, we're religious Jews. So I'm telling you right now, these people are dangerous. You cannot lift up many of them. They're set in their ways. They're set in their ways. What makes someone a Baal Teshav is them realizing the nations are wrong and coming to Torah. And even these conservative Jews do not do this. Even the Reform Jews do not do this. I mean, there's no other way to say it. So I'm just ranting on here so that you understand that there's a video about secular Jews and how awful they are. Because every time I come across a Noahide, every time I come across somebody in the conversion process or has converted, they have dozens and dozens of stories about being mistreated, lied to, and they're usually afraid to talk about it because they don't want to be seen as speaking Lashon Hara. Well, I got news for you. If these people are doing evil, and if they are not a religious Jew, they're not even a victim of Lashon Hara. So warn the public about them. Warn the public about them. If you run across a community that has lied to you on these apps or on these groups, whether it's a dating app, whether it's, and please don't use the dating apps, guys. That's not how you find your wife. Or your spouse or your husband or whatever. So these people have infested these apps and these websites like lice on a wild dog. It is insane. So please call them out. If you have proof, screenshot it, put it out. These people are not even able to claim victim of Lashon Hara because they're so vile. Period. Now, some people are going to say, well, you shouldn't say that about secular Jews. You got to lift everybody up. I'm not telling you you can't lift up some people. I'm telling you that there are a lot of people that you can't lift up with 5 men in a crane. Okay? You're not going to lift them up because they're set in their ways. They've got lies and a history of cycled lies on social media and in the public. They got that reputation. And for them to say, hey, you know what? I admit it. I'm not a Jew. Or for them to say, I admit it, I'm not Orthodox, but I like to say that I am, that would destroy their illusion, and their ego can't handle that. So I just wanted to put this video out because I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated at how many of these parasites are on Facebook. They are on apps. They are everywhere. Do not trust anybody. If you get on one of the apps and you say, hey, I'm a religious Jew, I need to go to, somewhere for Shabbat, blah, 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 you bet, like even, I can't even tell you what to do. I called the rabbi, I called the people, I called other people, and they all lied to me. And this has happened in 9 different communities. 9 different communities that were not Orthodox, where I contacted the rabbi, in some cases the rabbinants. I contacted several of the men in the area, and then whoever was already talking to me. They all lie. They all lie. So there's nothing that you can do to prove to yourself that it's not an Orthodox community until you go there. And by then, you've already wasted dollars. I think I had around $4,000, and I did this trip all through Florida. I went to 9 different spots in Florida, and only one of them was an Orthodox community. And every single one of these communities, I had at least 3 people, at least 3, claiming that it was an Orthodox community. Out of the 9, there was 1. And that was it. That was it. So I'm putting up this video because I know a lot of people are extremely stressed over this. It's not anti-Semitic of you to call these people out for not following Torah and lying to you. It is not anti-Semitic or Lashon Hara for you to call these people out, to post about them, drop their names, but you got to show evidence. You got to show screenshots and evidence, text messages, all that. You got to show evidence when you are doing any kind of public warning about anybody or a group or a community. Okay, this is not a video that's stirring up drama or Lashon Hara. These people are not victims of Lashon Hara ever. The Kofetz Chaim, it's C5 section 8, and other commentary point out that on the law of love your neighbor, who is your neighbor? And they say it's a religious Jew. It is not the secular Jew. It is not the Jew who has fallen off of the path and refusing to get back on the path. They are not even able to they're not even able to come up with any kind of ideas that they can say, oh, well, I'm Orthodox, and here's proof. What they do is they get the community to lie, and they're hoping that somebody comes in and just does the bare minimum. And that's not Judaism. Judaism is to serve. You are serving Hashem. You are a slave to Hashem. When Moshe said to Pharaoh, let my people go so they can serve, everybody seems to leave out that last part. Let my people go so that they can serve. And we live in a world where nobody wants to serve. Nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to have integrity. Nobody wants to speak honest. And we live in a world where a guy who is not Jewish and has been 20 years into this is posting a video talking about the frustrations rather than you seeing a video of an Orthodox rabbi saying it. Because many times the Orthodox rabbis don't want to say this because they don't want to push away the secular Jew, and there might be some candidates that they can lift up and bring the Torah, and they don't want that video being seen by them, and then that secular Jew saying, well, this is how you feel about all secular Jews. Boo-hoo, I'm a victim, and they run away. Screw that. I don't care about that. You are not following Torah. You are to love truth and love justice, and you are to hate injustice. You are to hate these people who hate the Torah. There's no other way around it. These people are on fire for destroying Torah. That's what it is. They are on fire to destroy Torah. If they're not destroying Torah, it's like they can't function. I see it all the time. 30 times a week, I kid you not. 30 times a week on just Facebook alone, I'm dealing with these people. They scare Noahides. They put out false stuff. They put out stuff that even young Jews are like, maybe he's got a point. I'm scared now. Am I doing something wrong? It's crazy. It's craziness. We live in the upside down world. The secular Jews are not the people that you need to hang around. Get a rabbi. Get a proper rabbi. Get in a proper Orthodox community and stick your nose in Torah and learn with your rabbi. Because these other people on Facebook, you don't know them. You could be friends with them for years and they're lying to you. I'm just telling it as it is. Like, share, and subscribe.